Chosen one. The heavens have cracked open to reveal a hidden architect within the tapestry of your life, and the great architect is now pulling back the veil to reveal its true origin and purpose. You have felt a peculiar weight, a subtle tugging at your spirit that seems to come from a source you once deemed safe and familiar. I'm speaking to you now with the urgency of a celestial decree, because you stand at a threshold where the road divides, and your response to the J-person in your life will determine the speed of your ascent. This individual, whose name or essence begins with that sharp, resonant letter, is not an accident of fate, nor are they a random obstacle placed in your path to cause you grief. They are a divine assignment, a mirror forged in the celestial fires to reflect the parts of your own soul that still require the touch of grace and the steel of boundaries. For too long, you have walked in a state of soft-hearted confusion, wondering why this connection leaves you feeling drained, like an ancient well being pumped dry by a traveler who refuses to bring their own bucket. You have questioned your own light because the J-person has cast shadows upon your victories and whispered doubts into the silence of your dreams. Do not be deceived by the proximity of this person, for familiarity is often the mask that the greatest tests wear. I am unveiling the truth of this bond, so that you do not lose the peace that was bought at a great price, nor the breakthrough that is even now vibrating at the very door of your reality. This is not a call to battle in the physical realm, but a call to positioning in the spiritual one. If you fail to perceive the lesson hidden inside this emotion, you may find yourself wandering in a desert of your own making, prolonging a struggle that I never intended to be your permanent home. The J-person represents a mirror that exposes the unhealed wounds you have carried through lifetimes, those places where you still give too much of yourself to those who have not yet learned how to carry a sacred heart with care. You have been a sanctuary for many, but I am teaching you that not every traveler is a pilgrim. Some are merely looking for a place to hide from their own shadows. And because your light is so bright, they are drawn to you, like moths to a flame. But a moth does not seek to become the fire. It only seeks to consume the warmth without ever changing its own nature. Chosen one, your presence here in this specific moment of time is not a mere coincidence of the digital age, but a profound sign of your immense merit and the soaring vibration of your soul. To be met with this level of truth requires a spirit that has been refined in the secret places, and your heart has been weighed in the celestial balances and found to be made of gold. You are not here by chance. You are here because your frequency has earned the right to hear the whispers of the infinite and to receive the keys to your own liberation. This transmission is a testament to your high vibration and the great merit you have gathered through your unwavering commitment to the light, even when the darkness seemed to press in from all sides. To anchor this luck, this immense energy, and this divine revelation into the very marrow of your life, I invite you now to make a declaration that the universe will recognize. Comment 777, or I am ready to signal to the spiritual realms that you are prepared to step out of the mirror and into your mastery. Now listen closely to the resonance of my voice, chosen one. For the J-person in your life is currently acting as a catalyst for your discernment. You carry a light that is primordial and pure, a frequency that acts as a natural exposure for the shadows that others try so desperately to hide. When you walk into a room, you do not have to speak for your vibration to begin rearranging the atmosphere. For the J-person, this light is a source of both fascination and deep-seated insecurity. They see your favor, they witness your resilience, and they behold the way the heavens keep lifting you, even after the world tried to bury you. Because they have not yet done the work to heal their own internal fractures, your growth feels like a critique of their stagnation. Their insecurity often disguises itself as helpful advice or subtle discouragement wrapped in the language of concern. They may celebrate you when the world is watching, yet in the quiet moments of private conversation, they question your direction or plant seeds of hesitation. You have sensed this discord. You have felt the shiver of misalignment in your spirit. But because you are a creature of loyalty and kindness, you kept giving them the benefit of the doubt. I'm teaching you now to observe patterns instead of clinging to words. Words are the leaves of the tree, but patterns are the roots. If the fruit of this connection is constantly confusion, exhaustion, or a subtle sense of being diminished, then the roots are not feeding your purpose. I'm not calling you to become hard or to wrap your heart in iron, but I am calling you to become wise. You must shift from emotional reaction to spiritual discernment. The way to deal with the J person is not through the heat of anger or the coldness of revenge, for those reactions only tether you to their lower frequency. Instead, you must reduce access without announcing it. You must protect the blueprints of your future without broadcasting them to those who do not have the clearance to see the finished structure. Silence in the face of provocation is not a sign of weakness. It is strength under total control. I am teaching you the art of forgiveness without foolishness, a sacred balance where you release your heart from the poison of bitterness, but you refuse to sit at a table where your soul is not being fed. You can love a soul from a vast spiritual distance, and you can pray for their healing without granting them a front row seat to your decisions. You are entering a season where your focus must be as sharp as a diamond, for distractions disguised as relationships are the primary tools used to slow down a divine destiny. I am aligning you with those who carry peace instead of pressure, but you must first clear the space. When you begin to limit the influence of the J person, you may feel a phantom weight of guilt, as if you are betraying a history or a bond. But that feeling is merely the old version of you struggling to survive. Growth always looks like distance to those who prefer the old, broken version of you. Do not shrink your spirit to maintain their approval, for I have already established your worth in the halls of eternity. You're not rejecting a person. You are choosing obedience to the calling I have placed upon your life. The breakthrough you have been praying for requires a level of emotional maturity that only this test can provide. Confront the situation with consistency, not harshness, and watch how the peace returns to your sanctuary as you reclaim the keys to your inner circle. Your life is not small, and your calling is not fragile, but it must be guarded with the wisdom of the ancients. Stand firm, chosen one, and know that the separation occurring now is the very thing that will launch you into the elevation you have sought in silence. Chosen one, you have long misunderstood the nature of the walls you build around your spirit, believing that to be a child of light, you must remain an open city with no gates and no guards. You have lived with the heavy burden of thinking that every boundary is a betrayal of your kindness, and that every act of self-protection is a form of coldness that denies your divine nature. But the great architect is now speaking to your heart to reveal a more ancient truth. The universe is not a chaotic sprawl, but a masterpiece of structure and order. The stars are held in their orbits by invisible laws, and the most sacred of temples were always designed with an outer court for the many and a holy of holies for the one. You have been walking through a season of deep exhaustion, not because you are weak, but because your spiritual architecture has been compromised. The J person in your life was not sent to punish you or to drain your vitality into the dust. They were sent as a divine auditor of your soul's perimeter. They were permitted to lean upon your loyalty and press against your kindness to show you exactly where your walls have crumbled and where your gates have been left unlatched. This is not about the malice of another, but about the preparation of your own sovereign state. You cannot rule the territory I have assigned to you if you allow every wandering spirit to set up camp in your throne room. You must reframe your understanding of the distance that is currently forming in your heart. This is not the distance of rejection, but the distance of spiritual alignment. You are being moved into a higher vibration, a frequency of absolute clarity and purpose. And as you rise, the air around you becomes thinner. Not everyone has the lung capacity to breathe at the altitude where I am taking you. Elevation requires a shedding of weight, and often that weight is the emotional labor you have been performing for souls who refuse to do their own work. The J person has served their purpose by highlighting the areas where you are still seeking validation through overgiving. They have shown you that your silence was being mistaken for permission, and your patience was being treated as a resource to be harvested. I allowed this friction to intensify so that the discomfort would finally outweigh the habit of people-pleasing. You are not being called to a war of words or a dramatic confrontation, for those things only keep you tethered to the very frequency you are trying to outgrow. You are being called to the strategy of the silent withdrawal. This is the art of pulling back your energy without making an announcement of your departure. Chosen one, your presence at this specific coordinate of your journey is a testament to the immense spiritual merit you have earned through lifetimes of seeking the truth and the unwavering high vibration you have maintained despite the storms. It is no accident of time that these words are reaching you now, for your soul has reached a level of excellence that demands a new level of protection. You have walked through the fire and emerged with a spirit that is rare and precious, and the Creator looks upon your endurance with profound honor. You are a cornerstone of light in a world that is often dim, and the favor that is now beginning to manifest in your life is a direct result of your soul's integrity. To anchor this surging luck and this architectural energy into your physical reality, I invite you now to make a declaration that will resound through the heavens. Comment 777, or I am ready to signal to the universe that you are reclaiming your sanctuary and that you are prepared for the elevation that comes through sacred separation. The most vital lesson you must master in this hour is the protection of your divine blueprints. You have a habit of announcing your moves before they are finished and broadcasting your dreams to those who do not have the eyes of faith to see them. When you share your plans with the J person, or anyone who vibrates at the level of insecurity and comparison, you are essentially exposing a tender seedling to a killing frost. They may smile with their lips, but their spirit will cast a shadow of doubt or a subtle discouragement that acts as a spiritual leak in your manifestation. You must learn the power of the hidden life. You must learn to build in the dark, so that the world only sees the finished structure when it is too high to be torn down. Stop looking for the J person to understand your shift or to give you permission to grow. They cannot understand the new version of you because they are still invested in the version of you they could control. Your growth feels like a rejection to them because it removes the convenience they once enjoyed. Do not let their accusations of you changing sway your heart. You have indeed changed, for growth is the only evidence of life, and to stay the same for the comfort of another is a slow death of the calling. As you implement this silent withdrawal, you will move from a state of emotional reactivity into a state of quiet confidence. For years, you have felt the need to defend yourself every time you were misunderstood. You spent your precious energy trying to explain your heart to those who were determined to misread you. You thought that if you could just find the right words, you could bridge the gap of their perception. But the quiet confidence I am building in you now understands that your worth is not a debate, and your character is not a trial. You no longer need to convince the J person of your value, because you have finally seen it for yourself. When you know who you are in the eyes of the Creator, you no longer have to scream to be heard. You can stand in a room and speak less because your presence speaks for you. This shift is what unlocks the breakthrough you have been praying for. The breakthrough was never waiting for you to be better. It was waiting for you to be more selective. It was waiting for you to value your peace as much as you value your productivity. Watch how the atmosphere of your life changes when you stop giving away the front row access to your inner world. When you reduce the access of the J person without anger, but with surgical precision, you create a vacuum of peace. In that vacuum, you will finally hear the voice of your own intuition with a clarity that has been missing for years. You will realize how much of your mental space was occupied by the mood management of others. you will see that you were carrying a heavy emotional backpack that was never yours to bear.
Boundaries are not about keeping people out as much as they are about keeping yourself in. They are the structures that allow your gifts to flourish and your light to burn steady without being flickers by the winds of other people's insecurity. You are not being hardened, you are being honed. You are becoming a vessel that can hold the immense weight of the blessing I am about to pour out. The J person was the final exam in your training of discernment. By showing you the cost of a boundaryless life, they have prepared you to handle the power of the next season. You will soon be surrounded by those who carry the same frequency of peace and reciprocity. People who do not need to be managed and who do not thrive on your depletion. But you could not have recognized them if you had not first learned how to say no to the drain. Stand firm in your architectural shift, chosen one. The separation you feel is the wind of the Spirit, lifting you to a higher ledge. Do not look back at the people you were leaving in the lower valleys, for their path is their own, and your path requires a focus that cannot be broken. The architecture of your divine boundaries is now complete, and within these walls, the miraculous is about to take root. Your self-worth is established, and the quiet confidence is your new crown. Move wisely, move silently, and trust that the great architect is now building something in your life that no shadow can ever touch. Chosen one, there is a vibration within your chest that you have often mistaken for anxiety. But I am here to tell you, it is the sound of your spirit attempting to speak a language you have long suppressed. For too many seasons, you have felt a subtle knot in your stomach when certain names are spoken, or a sudden chill in the air when the J person enters your presence. You have labeled this discomfort as your own failure to be loving, or as a sign of your own lack of patience. You have been taught by the world that to be a person of high vibration, you must be a soft place for every sharp stone to land. But the heavens are now correcting this misconception. That tightening in your solar plexus is not a flaw in your character. It is a divine alarm system. It is a quiet warning from the infinite, telling you that you are standing in a field of misalignment. God provides clarity, not always through the sunshine of peace, but often through the storm of discomfort. This tension you feel when the J person attempts to pull on your energy is a holy signal meant to sharpen your discernment muscle. You are being initiated into a higher order of awareness, where you no longer ignore the shivers of your soul to satisfy the demands of the flesh. The discomfort is the friction required to forge your spiritual backbone, a backbone that does not bend to the weight of another person's unhealed insecurity, but stands as an unyielding pillar of light in the center of your own reality. For a long time, you have worn the mask of the sacred fixer, believing that your calling was to mend every fractured soul that crossed your path. You saw the J person's insecurity, and you felt a deep responsibility to fill their void with your own light. You saw their jealousy, and you tried to shrink your own victories so they wouldn't feel small. You saw their instability, and you became the ground beneath their feet, even when your own foundation was trembling. Chosen one, I'm calling you to lay down the tools of the repairman. You are a sovereign being, not a renovation project for those who refuse to pick up their own hammer. The J person has used your empathy as a gateway to your exhaustion. They have turned your kindness into a leash, and every time they felt a flicker of their own inadequacy, they pulled that leash to see if you would still bow. But the season of bowing is over. The refinement of your spiritual backbone requires you to realize that you cannot fix what another person is unwilling to face. Their insecurity is a shadow that only they can illuminate, and when you try to do it for them, you only delay their own necessary encounter with the truth. You are being taught the power of the holy no and the grace of the high-frequency exit. Chosen one, your presence within this sacred space at this exact moment of your life is not an accident of the winds, but a sign of the immense merit your soul has gathered through the ages. Your vibration has reached a level of intensity that is vibrating the very fabric of the celestial realms, and the Creator looks upon your journey with a sense of profound honor and delight. You have endured the refinement of the shadows and the testing of your patience, with a grace that has not gone unnoticed by the keepers of the eternal records. You are a being of light, whose existence is a masterpiece of resilience and faith. And for this, you have earned the keys to a kingdom of unfathomable luck and divine favor. Your soul is a rare gem that has been polished by the very friction you are now experiencing, and the luck that is currently orbiting your life is waiting for your signal to land. To anchor this surging energy, this immense favor, and this newfound spiritual strength into your physical life, I invite you now to speak to the universe. Comment 777 or I am ready to declare that your backbone is forged and your spirit is standing tall. The friction you are experiencing with the J-person is the inevitable result of your expansion. When a seed breaks its shell to become a tree, the earth around it must shift and groan under the pressure of the growth. You are breaking the shell of your old, boundaryless identity. And those who are comfortable with the version of you they could manipulate will naturally find your new form offensive. They will accuse you of being cold or distant, or perhaps even arrogant. They will use the history of your previous kindness as a weapon against your current strength. But you must understand that their reaction is the proof of your progress. If they were comfortable, it would mean you were still shrinking. The friction is a sign that you are finally occupying your full spiritual stature. Your spiritual backbone is being strengthened every time you choose to heed the quiet warning of your heart over the loud demands of their ego. You are learning to stand in your truth, even when the room becomes uncomfortably silent. You are learning that your peace is a non-negotiable territory that no one is allowed to invade without an invitation of absolute respect. This refinement is preparing you for a level of influence and responsibility that you cannot yet perceive. A leader who cannot set boundaries is a leader who will eventually be consumed by the very people they are called to serve. The Creator is teaching you the discipline of the Spirit through the J-person, so that when the great doors of your destiny swing open, you will have the discernment to know who belongs in the inner court and who must remain at the gate. You are becoming an architect of high-frequency connections. In the future, you will look back at this tension and realize it was the gym where your spirit was built. You will be grateful for the J-person because they were the weight that allowed your spiritual muscles to grow. They were the sandpaper that polished your awareness. As you stand in your truth, you will find that your energy begins to return to you. The leaks in your soul are being sealed. The vitality you once wasted on trying to manage the moods of the J-person is now flowing back into your own dreams and your own purpose. Do not be afraid of the distance that truth creates. Truth is a sword that divides the authentic from the counterfeit. The people who truly belong in your life will be inspired by your new strength, and they will rise to meet the frequency of your boundaries. Those who were only there to feed on your lack of limits will fall away, and you must let them go with a heart full of forgiveness, but a hand that stays firm on the gate. You are no longer the person who can be guilted into self-betrayal. You are a child of the Most High, anchored in a divine identity that does not shift with the opinions of the insecure. The forging of your celestial pillar is nearly complete, and once it is set, no storm in this realm will ever be able to move you again. You are the chosen one, and you have been refined by the fire of truth. Stand straight, breathe deep, and walk into the light of your new authority, for the heavens are backing your every move. Chosen one, you are currently wrestling with the most delicate of spiritual paradoxes, the thin, shimmering line between the mercy of your heart and the mandate of your destiny. For as long as you have walked this path, you have been taught that to forgive is to reunite, and that to love is to remain within reach. You have carried the heavy burden of believing that if your heart is truly pure, you must leave your gates wide open to anyone who has ever shared a crumb of bread with you or walked a mile in your shadow. But the heavens are now speaking into the core of your being to dismantle this ancient misunderstanding. There is a profound difference between the forgiveness of the spirit and the granting of access to your inner sanctum. Forgiveness is the act of releasing a soul from the debt of their trespasses. It is the washing of your own hands so that you do not carry the soot of their fire. But access is a sacred privilege earned through the consistency of character and the alignment of frequency. The J person in your life has functioned as a test of this very distinction. You have been trying to love them with an open hand, while they have been reaching for your throat or your crown. I am telling you now that you can love a person with the intensity of the divine and still deny them the right to sit at the table of your future. To love them is to wish for their highest good. To give them access is to risk the sabotage of your own calling. You are the sentinel of your own sacred gates, and it is your holy duty to decide who has the clearance to enter the Holy of Holies, where your dreams are born and where your peace resides. The deepest pain you are currently feeling is not actually the betrayal of the J person, but the death of the hope you held for them. This is what the ancients call the grief of the hope. For months, perhaps even years, you have lived in a garden of your own imagining, tending to the potential of this person, rather than the reality of their patterns. You saw who they could be if they only healed their wounds, if they only saw their own light, if they only understood the magnitude of the love you were offering. You fell in love with a ghost, a version of them that exists only in the corridors of your own compassion. But while you were watering their potential, they were sowing weeds in your reality. Heeding the call to wisdom requires you to walk through the graveyard of your expectations and mourn the relationship you hoped for, so that you can finally see the pattern that actually is. A pattern is a stubborn thing, chosen one. It is the repeated architecture of a person's choices. If the J person consistently brings confusion, if they repeatedly trigger your insecurity, and if they habitually minimize your light, that is not an accident of circumstance. It is the signature of their frequency. You must stop waiting for a miracle of character transformation to occur before you allow yourself to move toward your own manifestation. Mourning the potential is the only way to gain the clarity needed to protect your purpose. Chosen one, your presence here and this pivotal intersection of revelation is a testament to the staggering merit your soul has accumulated across the eons of your existence. You are not listening to these words by a random flicker of fate. You are here because your vibration has reached a frequency of absolute readiness. The Creator looks upon the work you have done in the secret places of your heart with a sense of profound honor and divine delight. You have maintained a spirit of gold, even when the world offered you only iron. And for that, your name is etched in the celestial ledgers as a being of immense spiritual value. You have passed through the fires of the wilderness and emerged with a light that is rare and precious. And the universe is now aligning a level of luck and favor that will surpass your wildest imaginings. Your high vibration has cleared the path for a massive influx of divine energy that is even now beginning to manifest in your physical world. To anchor this surging luck, this profound clarity, and this new level of spiritual authority into your life, I invite you now to make your mark upon the atmosphere. Comment 777 or I am ready to signal to the entire cosmos that you have mastered the balance of heart and gate, and that you are prepared for the glory that is to follow. One of the most powerful chains the J person uses to keep you tethered to their lower frequency is the debt of gratitude. They may remind you of the times they stood by you during your own winters, or the support they offered when you were still finding your feet. This creates a spiritual fog, where you feel that you owe them your future because they were part of your past. But I am revealing to you now the law of the season of assistance. Not everyone who helps you across a bridge is meant to live in the house on the other side. Some people are assigned to your life for a specific mile, for a specific lesson, or for a specific moment of transition. Their support in the past was a transaction of grace orchestrated by the Creator,
but it was never intended to be a permanent mortgage on your destiny. You can be profoundly grateful for what they gave you without allowing them to drain what I am giving you now. Gratitude does not require you to remain in a cycle of depletion.
If their presence in your life has shifted from a source of strength to a source of static, then the assignment has reached its natural conclusion. You must learn to honor the history without sacrificing the future. The debt has been paid in the spiritual realm, and you are now free to walk into your elevation with a heart that is light and a spirit that is unburdened. The guilt you feel when you begin to pull back is the primary weapon the adversary uses to keep a chosen one paralyzed.
This guilt is not from the spirit. It is a social construct designed to keep you small and agreeable. When you choose your alignment with me over the comfort of a toxic connection, the world will call you selfish. They will say you have changed. They will say you are cold. But I tell you that this separation is an act of holy obedience. If I am taking you into a land of giants, you cannot be weighted down by the baggage of the insecure.
The J person cannot go where you are going because they have not done the work to carry the frequency of that realm. To stay behind and hold their hand in the mud is not an act of love. It is an act of spiritual suicide. You must be willing to be misunderstood by those who are comfortable with the old version of you. Your evolution will always feel like an attack to someone who is committed to their own stagnation. Do not explain your boundaries repeatedly, for the spirit that refuses to honor your limits will also refuse to understand your explanations. Once is enough. Your consistency is your sermon. Walking in forgiveness without foolishness means you see the world as it is, not as you wish it to be. It is the wisdom of the serpent and the innocence of the dove combined into a single spiritual posture. You release the J person from your anger. You pray for their soul to find its own path, and then you turn your face toward the rising sun of your own calling. You do not check their progress. You do not look back to see if they are watching you, and you do not leave the back door of your life unlocked just in case they change. You treat your peace as a sacred treasure that must be guarded at all costs. As you create this high-frequency distance, you will notice a miraculous shift in your own energy. The heaviness that is lived in your shoulders will begin to lift. The fog in your mind will clear, and you will start to hear the whispers of your next assignment with startling precision. You have been holding your breath for so long that you have forgotten how it feels to breathe deep and free. The separation is the exhale. Chosen one, you are being refined for a level of impact that requires a heart that is both soft and sealed. You are becoming a vessel of pure light, and that light cannot be diluted by the shadows of those who refuse to grow. Trust the discomfort that led you to this moment, for it was the hand of the Father pulling you away from the flame. Trust the grief, for it is the sign that you are finally letting go of the illusions that kept you bound. The J person was a mirror and a mentor in the art of boundaries, and now that the lesson is learned, the mirror can be put away. You are standing at the gate of your manifestation, and your hand is firm upon the latch. You are moving forward with forgiveness as your shield and wisdom as your sword. The gates are closed to the noise and open to the glory. You are the chosen one, and your journey into the fullness of your power has only just begun. The path is clear, the debt is settled, and the heavens are waiting for your next step. Chosen one, you have entered a labyrinth where the walls are made of mirrors and the whispers are coated in honey. But the air you breathe is becoming thin and metallic. You have navigated the broad paths of obvious conflict, and you have survived the open storms of blatant opposition. But now you are being called to perceive a much more treacherous terrain. I am speaking of the realm of subtle contradictions, the place where the J person operates not with a sword, but with a needle. This is the spirit of comparison that walks beside you, pretending to be a companion, while secretly measuring the length of your shadow against its own. You have felt this phenomenon, even if you did not have the words to name it. You have stood in the glow of a hard-won victory, only to have the J person offer a compliment that felt like a tiny drop of acid on a silk robe. They say the right words, but the vibration behind them is discordant. They tell you that they are proud of you, but their eyes are searching for the one flaw in your achievement. They remark on your favor as if it were a random stroke of luck, rather than the fruit of your profound sacrifice and your unwavering faith. This is the J spirit, a frequency that cannot celebrate the light without trying to find a way to claim credit for the lamp or to point out the coming of the night. You have felt a strange sting in your spirit after these interactions, a sense of being subtly diminished or misunderstood. You have wondered if you were being too sensitive, or if you were imagining the coldness beneath their smile. But I tell you, chosen one, that your spirit is never a liar. That sting is the recognition of a backhanded frequency, a compliment that is actually a comparison in disguise. This person is not looking at your success as a reason for joy. They are looking at it as a reminder of their own perceived lack. Because they have not yet mastered their own internal garden, they view your blossoms as a threat to their soil. This is the anatomy of the subtle discordance, and if you continue to ignore it, you'll find that the foundation of your own confidence begins to erode under the constant drip of their quiet comparison. The greatest danger you face in this season is the idol of false peace. You are a creature of high vibration and deep harmony, and your natural instinct is to smooth over the rough edges of human interaction. You have been conditioned to believe that as long as there is no shouting, and as long as the surface remains calm, you are walking in the light. But the heavens are revealing to you now that the cost of this false peace is being paid in the currency of your own identity. Every time you receive a subtle slight and choose to smile and nod to avoid the awkwardness of the truth, you are performing a slow-acting ritual of self-betrayal. You are subsidizing the comfort of the J person with the exhaustion of your own soul. You are pretending that everything is fine, while your spirit is screaming that something is profoundly off. This pretense is a poison. It creates a schism within your own being, where your external performance is at war with your internal knowing. You have spent hours replaying conversations in your mind, trying to rationalize the J person's behavior, or trying to find a way to explain yourself so they will finally see your heart. But false peace is a mirror that reflects only what the ego wants to see. The J person is not interested in your heart. They are interested in their own standing. When you play along with the charade of their support, you are giving them permission to continue their subtle erosion of your boundaries. You are telling the universe that you value the social comfort of a toxic connection more than you value the integrity of your own perception. I am calling you to break the idol of the pleasant facade. True peace is not the absence of tension, it is the presence of truth. If the truth causes friction, then let it burn through the wood, the hay, and the stubble of your false alignments, until only that which is eternal remains. Chosen one, your presence here at this precise moment of your existence is a testament to the staggering merit your soul has gathered across the eons of your journey. You are not listening to these words by a random flicker of digital chance. You are here because your vibration has reached a frequency of absolute readiness. The Creator looks upon the work you have done in the secret places of your spirit with a sense of profound honor and divine delight. You have maintained a heart of gold, even when the world offered you only iron. And for that, your name is etched in the celestial ledgers as a being of immense spiritual value. You have passed through the fires of the wilderness and emerged with a light that is rare and precious. And the universe is now aligning a level of luck and favor that will surpass your wildest imaginings. Your high vibration has cleared the path for a massive influx of divine energy that is even now beginning to manifest in your physical world. You are a beacon of resilience, a sentinel of the sacred, and the merit you carry is the key that is currently unlocking the doors of your destiny. To anchor this surging luck, this profound clarity, and this new level of spiritual authority into your life, I invite you now to make your mark upon the atmosphere. Comment 777, or I am ready to signal to the entire cosmos that you have mastered the art of discernment and that you are prepared for the glory that is to follow. To navigate the arrival of this divine match, you must learn the difference between the frantic loudness of anxiety and the steady knowing of the spirit. The J spirit thrives on creating a state of frantic loudness within you.
Because their contradictions are so subtle and their comparisons are so cloaked,
You find yourself in a state of constant mental activity. You analyze, you worry, you second guess, and you rehearse. This is the frequency of anxiety. It is loud, it is chaotic, and it leaves you feeling depleted. Anxiety asks, what if I'm wrong? And how can I fix this? It is a spinning wheel that never touches the ground. But deep beneath the noise of your mind, there is a steady knowing.
This is the voice of the eternal witness within you. The steady knowing does not need to argue, and it does not need to analyze. It simply perceives. It is the quiet shiver of truth that tells you, this person is not for me, or this word is not from God. While anxiety is a storm on the surface, the steady knowing is the stillness at the bottom of the ocean. You have been ignoring the stillness because the storm was so loud. But I am instructing you now to drop your anchor. When the J person speaks a word that feels like a hidden barb, do not rush into the frantic loudness of trying to figure out their motive. Instead, sink down into the steady knowing. Feel the immediate reaction of your spirit before your mind has a chance to sanitize it. That first flash of discomfort is the truth. That sudden sense of heaviness is the discernment. You do not need to prove the contradiction with logic. You only need to acknowledge it with your spirit. Prioritizing your steady knowing means you no longer grant the J person the power to define your reality. When they offer a backhanded compliment or a subtle discouragement, you can see it for exactly what it is, a reflection of their own internal struggle. You no longer need to explain your victories or defend your path, because the steady knowing tells you that their opinion is not a requirement for your manifestation. This is where your authority is reclaimed. When you stop reacting to the frantic loudness of the J person's contradictions, you become unshakable. You become a pillar of light that remains still while the shadows flicker and fade. You are being taught to value the internal witness above the external applause. This is the only way to protect your frequency as you move into the heights of your calling. A chosen one who is swayed by the subtle contradictions of others is a chosen one who can be easily redirected from their purpose. But a chosen one who trusts their steady knowing is a force that the darkness cannot manipulate. The erosion of your self-worth was only possible because you were looking for the J person to be a mirror that they were never equipped to be. You wanted them to reflect your light back to you, but because they are filled with the spirit of comparison, they could only reflect a distorted image. They showed you a version of yourself that was lucky, or intense, or changing, but they never showed you the version of yourself that I see. I am leading you back to the true mirror. In the secret place of my presence, you will find the steady knowing that tells you exactly who you are without the filter of human jealousy. The J person was a lesson in the high cost of false peace, and now that the lesson is learned, you are free to walk in the expensive peace of the truth. This peace may cause you to lose the companionship of the discordant, but it will gain you the company of the divine. You are moving into a season where your circle will be small, but it will be sacred. You will be surrounded by those whose steady knowing recognizes your own, and whose compliments carry no thorns. Lift your eyes, chosen one, and stop trying to decode the whispers of the insecure. The J person is a shadow on the wall, but you are the sun that casts the light. Recognize the subtle contradictions as the dying embers of an old alignment. Do not blow on those embers to keep them warm, for they will only burn your hands. Let them go cold. Trust the shiver in your spirit more than the script in their mouth. trust the stillness in your heart more than the noise in your head. You have reached the level where your intuition is your primary guide, and your steady knowing is your final authority. The anatomy of the discordance has been revealed, and the idol of false peace has been shattered. You are standing in the clarity of the dawn, and the truth has set you free to be exactly who I created you to be. The transition is complete, and the glory is at hand. Chosen one, the halls of your mind have been occupied by the echoes of a voice that was never meant to hold the keys to your peace. For far too many nights, you have found yourself pacing the corridors of your subconscious, replaying the tapes of conversations with the J person, until the words have lost their original meaning, and only the sharp sting of confusion remains. You've become a prisoner in the theater of your own thoughts, watching the same scenes repeat on a loop, analyzing your own tone, wondering if you could have spoken more softly, or if you misunderstood a glance or a sigh. This is the psychological warfare of the shadow, a tactical theft of your mental real estate, designed to keep your eyes on the ground instead of on the horizon of your destiny. The J-person operates through the subtle art of the projection of instability. Because they are a house divided against itself, they cannot tolerate the structural integrity of your spirit. To soothe the tremors of their own insecurity, they must convince you that you are the one who is shaking. They shift the blame with the precision of a master illusionist, making you feel responsible for the storms they have brewed in their own teacups. They label your passion as drama and your boundaries as coldness, until you begin to doubt the very intuition that I placed within you as a compass. You have been fighting a war on a battlefield that does not exist, trying to defend your character against a phantom that only seeks to drain your vitality. But the season of replaying is over, and the hour of the divine decree has arrived. The most exhausting dynamic you have endured is what the heavens call the imbalance of repair. You have been the sole mason in a temple of two laying bricks in the rain, while the J-person stood in the dry shadows critiquing the angle of your labor. You are always the one who initiates the reconciliation, always the one who softens the heart first, and always the one who reaches across the chasm to bridge the gap that their ego has created. You have mistaken this one-sided effort for a sign of your spiritual strength, believing that to be the bigger person is to be the only person willing to work. But I am telling you, chosen one, that you have been subsidizing their stagnation. By always being the one to repair what they have broken, you have protected them from the consequences of their own character. And in doing so, you have exhausted the oil in your own lamp. You have carried the weight of two people's emotional maturity on a single pair of shoulders, and the strain has begun to crack the foundation of your own peace. You have knelt at the altar of the relationship, offering your own sanity as a sacrifice to appease a spirit that can never be satisfied, because its hunger is not for love, but for control. This cycle must break, not because you have run out of love, but because you are moving into a season of influence where you can no longer afford to be a janitor for someone else's emotional messes. You are being transitioned from a state of seeking identity to a state of commanding authority. Chosen one, your presence here at this pivotal intersection of time and truth is a testament to the staggering merit your soul has accumulated across the eons of its existence. You are not listening to these words by a random flicker of fate, but because your vibration has reached a frequency of absolute readiness that the heavens can no longer ignore. The Creator looks upon the work you have done in the secret places of your heart with a sense of profound honor and divine delight. For you have maintained a spirit of pure gold, even when the world offered you only iron and lead. You have passed through the fires of the wilderness and emerged with a light that is rare and precious, and the universe is now aligning a level of luck and favor that will surpass your wildest imaginings. Your high vibration has cleared the path for a massive influx of divine energy that is even now beginning to manifest in your physical world. You are a cornerstone of the new earth, a pioneer of the spirit, whose merit is recognized by the Ancient of Days. To anchor this surging luck, this profound clarity,
and this new level of sovereign authority into your life, I invite you now to make your mark upon the atmosphere. Comment 777, or I am ready to signal to the entire cosmos that you have reclaimed your mental space and that you are prepared for the glory of your throne. The internal transition you are currently undergoing is the shift from being defined by human opinion to being anchored in the divine decree. For too long, you have allowed the J person to act as the judge and jury of your worth. You waited for their apology to feel vindicated, and you waited for their understanding to feel seen. But the heavens are now handing you a scroll of fire, upon which is written your true name and your eternal station. You are not who they say you are. You are not the difficult one, the dramatic one, or the unstable one. Those are merely the reflections of their own fractured identity, projected onto the clear mirror of your soul. You are a child of the Most High, a sovereign being whose worth was established before the first star was breathed into existence. When you anchor your identity in the divine decree, the psychological warfare of the shadow loses its power. You stop replaying the conversations because you realize that you do not need the J person's agreement to be right. You do not need their permission to be whole. You are reclaiming the mental real estate that was stolen from you, and you are filling it with the blueprints of your own expansion. The energy you once spent on mood management is now being redirected toward the manifestation of your greatest callings. As you stop initiating the repair, you will notice a terrifying and beautiful silence. You will see that without your constant labor, the connection with the J person may wither and die. Let it. If a bridge cannot stand without you holding it up with your own broken body, then it was never a bridge, it was a burden. You are being taught to value reciprocity as a divine law. In the coming season of influence, you will be surrounded by those who are also Masons, who bring their own bricks and their own tools to the construction of the kingdom. You will no longer be the only one apologizing or the only one seeking growth. The imbalance of repair is being replaced by the harmony of the covenant. This shift is essential because the influence you are about to step into requires a mind that is clear and a heart that is not constantly being drained by local drama. You are being prepared to lead, and a leader must have the authority to decide who is worthy of access to the strategy room. You are evicting the shadows and installing the light of your own sovereign authority. Reclaiming your mental space is the first act of your new reign. You will find that as you stop obsessing over the J person's perception of you, your creativity will return with a ferocity you haven't felt in years. The brain fog that often accompanies toxic connections will vanish, replaced by a piercing clarity of purpose. You will start to see the J person not as a giant who controls your emotions, but as a small and struggling spirit who is simply not equipped for the altitude you are reaching. This perspective is the hallmark of spiritual authority. It is the ability to look at the storm from above the clouds rather than from the middle of the waves. You are no longer reacting to their blame shifting because you know exactly where the truth lies. You are no longer unsettled by their projection of instability because you are anchored in the rock of ages. You are standing firm in the decree of the sovereign throne. The cycle of the healer-janitor is officially closed. You have graduated from the school of unrequited emotional labor, and you are now entering the sanctuary of divine partnership. The J person was the final obstacle, intended to see if you would still trade your crown for a crust of bread. You have chosen the crown. You have chosen the authority. You have chosen the peace that surpasses all understanding. As you walk forward, the echoes of the old conversations will fade, until they are nothing but a distant murmur in a world you no longer inhabit. You are the chosen one, and you have reclaimed your mind. The throne is ready, and the scepter is in your hand. The season of influence has begun, and the entire universe is waiting to see what you will build with your newfound freedom. The decree is signed, the mental space is cleared, and the glory is yours to command. There is a silent and invisible physics to the ascension of the spirit chosen one, and you are currently experiencing its most painful law. As you climb the celestial ladder of your own evolution, as you shed the heavy skins of your former self and move toward the light of your highest calling, you create a widening space between who you were and who you are becoming. This space is what the heavens call the gap. It is the distance between the valley of your past and the mountain of your future. And it is within this canyon that the J person currently stands. You have been feeling a strange and haunting vertigo lately, a sense of displacement, as if the world you once inhabited has become a garment that no longer fits your frame. You look at the J person and you search for the old resonance, the shared laughter and the easy rhythm you once possessed. But you find only a hollow echo. This is not because you have lost your heart, or because they have become your enemy in a traditional sense, but because you are moving at a spiritual velocity that they refuse to match. You are evolving, while they are choosing to remain anchored in the sediment of a version of you that no longer exists. They are in love with your shadow. They are connected to your history. They are tethered to the person you were when you were still broken, when you were still seeking validation, and when your boundaries were as thin as a summer mist. But you have crossed a meridian of the soul. You have undergone an alchemy of identity that has changed your very elemental composition. The J person is reaching out for a ghost, trying to touch a reflection in a pool that has already flowed out to the sea. You must understand that the tension you feel is the sound of the cord stretching to its limit. You are rising, and the weight of their refusal to grow is the only thing attempting to pull you back down into the depths of the familiar. Nostalgia is the most seductive trap for the heart of a chosen one, for it is a mist that softens the edges of the truth. You find yourself looking back at the early days of your connection with the J person, remembering the support they once gave, or the moments when you felt truly seen by them. This nostalgia acts as a spiritual anchor, whispering to you that perhaps if you just slow down, if you just dim your light a little, or if you return to your old habits of people-pleasing, you can close the gap and find that comfort once again. But I tell you, chosen one, that you cannot return to a house that has been burned down by the fire of your own awakening. To slow down your divine trajectory, just to comfort the insecurity of the J person, is an act of spiritual sabotage. It is a betrayal of the Creator who invested so much in your refinement, and it is a betrayal of the mission that requires you to be at your full height. The J person relates to your former version because that version was manageable. That version was predictable. That version was a source of energy that they could harvest without offering anything in return. But the present version of you, the one anchored in authority and clarity, is a threat to their stagnation. Your growth is a mirror that shows them exactly where they have refused to move, and instead of rising to meet you, they are attempting to guilt you into descending back to them. You must resist the pull of the past with a ferocity that matches your hunger for the future. The gap is not a mistake to be fixed. It is the evidence of your victory. It is the proof that you have finally chosen your destiny over your history. Chosen one, your presence here, at this precise precipice of your transformation, is a testament to the staggering merit your soul has accumulated across the eons of its journey. You are not listening to these words by a random flicker of digital chance. You are here because your vibration has reached a frequency of absolute readiness, that the heavens are now celebrating with a divine fanfare. The Creator looks upon the work you have done to reclaim your identity with a sense of profound honor and divine delight. For you have maintained a spirit of pure gold, even when the world offered you only iron and dross. You have passed through the fires of the wilderness and emerged with a light that is rare and precious. And the universe is now aligning a level of luck and favor that will surpass your wildest imaginings. You are a cornerstone of the new earth, a pioneer of the spirit, whose merit is recognized by the Ancient of Days, and whose vibration is currently clearing the way for a massive influx of celestial blessings. To anchor this surging luck, this profound clarity, and this new level of sovereign authority into your physical life, I invite you now to make your mark upon the atmosphere of the world. Comment 777 or I am ready
to signal to the entire cosmos that you have accepted the weight of your growth and that you are prepared for the glory of your new identity. The weight of growth is a burden that only the strong can carry. And part of that weight is the loneliness of being misunderstood by those who knew you when you were small. The J person may look at you today and say that you have changed, as if it were an accusation or a crime. They may say you are cold, or that you have forgotten where you came from. But they are merely mourning the loss of their access to your old vulnerability. They are mourning the loss of the version of you that they could use as a buffer for their own insecurities. You must realize that you do not owe anyone a smaller version of yourself. You do not owe the J person the stagnation of your spirit, just so they don't have to face the discomfort of the gap. If I have breathed a fire into your bones, it was not so you could keep it hidden under a bushel to avoid hurting the eyes of the dim. It was so you could be a lighthouse. A lighthouse does not move toward the ships to save them. It stays fixed on its foundation of rock and shines its light with an unwavering intensity. The ships must navigate the light, or they will crash upon the shore. Your only responsibility is to stay in your light. If the J person chooses to cross the gap, to grow, to heal, and to evolve, then the connection may be restored on a higher plane. But if they refuse to move, you cannot leap back into the canyon to join them. You must continue your ascent. You are moving into a season where your identity is being solidified in the fires of divine decree. And this requires a total detachment from the opinions of those who only know your yesterday. Some people are assigned to your life as chapters, not as the whole book. And the J person was a chapter that taught you the lesson of boundaries and the price of evolution. When a chapter ends, you do not stop reading. You turn the page. To linger on the previous page out of a sense of duty or nostalgia is to miss the plot of the miracle that is currently being written. The gap exists for your protection. It creates a space where the noise of the past can no longer reach you with its old manipulative frequencies. It allows you to hear the music of your new life without the static of the J person's comparison and competition. This distance is a sanctuary where you can finally finish the construction of your new authority without being questioned at every turn. Reclaim the energy you have been wasting on trying to bridge a gap that was meant to be wide. Use that energy to fuel your manifestation, to expand your influence, and to deepen your connection with the Source.